the morning. The past 24 hours have been quite a challenge for me, especially because of the turn of events and certain things that have transpired. So I wrote a letter 2 days ago in the evening, addressing the head of state and seeking an audience, asking for an appointment for a meeting. And this was inspired by the fact that a lot of people challenged me to say, you have come out strongly, standing firm on the things that you're speaking against and the concerns that you're raising about things that you feel need to change in the nation. And but for how long are you going to talk on social media? For how long are you going to post these videos where you're expressing your views? Don't you think you need to take the next step where you actually engage the people that have the power to be able to put some of the things or take some of the things that you are saying into consideration? And that was a good challenge for me. So I said, okay, I tried to apply what I would regard as my wisdom to say, let me do the right thing by actually writing, so that because the challenge right now that I feel we've had in all this is that the ministers, and in this case talking about the provincial minister, gave an impression that we cannot advise. We cannot advise. So if I'm going to take my advice through a cabinet member, then it would not reach the head. So I took it that maybe the best way is just to be able to take it straight to where it needs to be. Yeah, so I wrote a letter and then I communicated with somebody that I know who works at State House, and I asked them for the procedure to say, how best do I do this? And they said, oh yeah, you've done well. Writing is actually the way to go, and as a Zambian citizen, you have the right to do this, and you can actually come and drop it off at State House. Yeah, so early in the morning yesterday, at the agreed time, I took that letter, and my aim was just to drop it there and leave it there and then go back and wait for feedback. Yeah, but then I was allowed to sit there for a while and get to compare notes and also just talk about the contents of the letter and what I would want this meeting to be about, just for me to kind of give them a picture of what I wanted to discuss. And what's in the letter is not confidential. It's things that I have been speaking about. The first one is youth development, wanting to know how government can improve on their communication with regards to what government is doing in addressing the ongoing youth challenges. There are so many, including unemployment, and also what opportunities are available. And then the second one on the agenda is the recent concerns on to do with foreign employers or foreign investors in treating of Zambian workers, and the feedback that is coming from the youth in that regard. So these are the things that are in the letter, and I try to highlight them. So in that particular moment, when we were talking about all these things, I want to consider this a meeting, because we have sat and we are discussing. So we were in a meeting, and I was talking to two people. They are the advisor to the president and also the press aide. And so they did mention to say, the moment you notified State House that you were planning to bring this letter to seek an appointment, we actually notified the head of state that you were bringing a letter, and he said he's done the right thing. That's a good thing, and that's a welcome move. But I also think, that's the head of state speaking, he says, but I also think it's important that he should also have a conversation with the Lusaka province minister, because they are at the center of a lot of things that are happening right now, before we can even actually get to talk about the meeting that is supposed to be there. So then they mentioned to me to say, by the way, the Lusaka province minister is actually around in the other building attending a different meeting, and we had even notified him that you were here. We asked him if he would free the time you'll be here, maybe he could come and say hi. He said he's okay with it. So they asked me if I was okay with it. I said, well, I'm equally fine with it. And so that's how, before I could actually leave, they called him in, and he came and said hi. A bit of some pleasantries at the beginning. There wasn't much discussion. He just talked about the fact that he remembers that he used to see me in Kabwe at some point when I was starting my music career. Yeah, he mentioned that he's got a good relationship with a lot of artists from Kabwe. Yeah, so that's the kind of mood that he created. He said, oh, so in fact, some of the artists from Kabwe have called me to ask me what's going on between you and me. He did not offer an apology for the things he said to me, neither did he seek an apology from me. He just went straight to saying, well, I just want you to know that I am ready to be advised by you or any other youth in Zambia, and you can visit my office anytime. In fact, if you like, I can even invite you home, because maybe it would be important that we actually get to talk. Yeah, that's all he said. And then he said, oh, I need to dash back in the other meeting. Then he said, by the way, it's okay that we can take a picture together, because we actually have a mutual friend who actually called me recently and asked me what's going on and why I can't just approach you, and the fact that I used to see you in Cabo, because they had a conversation about me at some point. So he said, I want to send this picture to him so that he sees that we actually met. So that was the agreement, and so he said bye, went in the other meeting, then I also said bye.
So in other words, there was no reconciliation. There was
no talk.
Semi-reconciliation. I don't want to say there was no reconciliation. There was no...
Others will argue to say, what are you reconciling about?
Yeah.
What was the conflict? Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious just to hear from both Pilato and Michael. Both of you have been involved in activism for a very long time. Are you surprised by some of the turn of events, whether it's I'm assuming that both of you have tried to take letters to State House. Are you a bit surprised that people have been that Big Flo was as welcomed as he was? Meetings were held.
And it's a good thing that we are on several because yesterday he called me and explained just what he's explaining to me. I want to put it very bluntly. What I see is obviously not surprising to anybody. Well, to me, it's not surprising at all, because we are in a situation where we've seen a sudden, I don't want to call it uprising, a sudden realization by artists of the power they have, the influence they have in society, and that is why this thing, even if it's centered around Big Flo and the artists of the photographer, it beyond these guys. Issues that are pertaining now have been boiling amongst the citizens of the country for a very long time. And so what we are seeing now, the realization by the people who have voices, whatever magnitude, and also the desperation by authorities to quell what is now, I think, low approval ratings from the public. Because right now, the common man on the streets does not really feel the benefit of being Zambian. Why am I saying so? There are certain fundamentals that we cannot run away from. There is issues like the cost of living, for example. You and I need no less than 7,000 kwacha today to earn a living. Whether you are an artist, whether you are a DJ, whether you are a radio presenter, the fact is that Zambia is going through one of the worst economic times. And people are hungry, people are starving, there is no medication in health facilities, the civil service seems, the system seems to have broken down, okay? You have institutions being compromised. And these are the fundamental issues that are surrounding issues that have come alive now, thanks to the platform that the artists have. So, and you know, young people listen to artists.
And they look up to us.
Yes,
as well.
more than politicians, to be honest with you. So, young people will be an artist like Chela, for example, who will come out semi-naked and put a message there. You know, they'll believe him more than President Edgar Lungu, who will come in a jacket and tie, you know, and hold a press conference at State House. You know, not that State House is a bad place. But these are the issues. So these issues are beyond artists. These issues are beyond, you know, funded institutions. These issues are beyond NGOs now.
But I mean,
these issues have boiled down to people's table.
And of all of us in here, the four of us who are in this room, you're the one person who's been to court more than any of us. You're the only person I know in this room who's been to prison cells more than anyone else. You've been speaking about these issues for a long time. You know, people have been accusing you of being funded by this, that, and the other. Today, when you look at what's going on, are you a bit? Do you have a smile on your face to say people are beginning to see what I've been seeing and what I've been talking about for a long time?
So the problem here, Luchi and everybody listening, is what we are experiencing now is what I've always been saying, that there is a threshold that people get to and they'll say enough is enough. And this is not it. Don't mistake to think that
This is not it.
This is not it.
Okay.
This is not it. The problem that we have is the lack of common sense in those that are leading us. Whenever you're dealing with a situation or problem, the first step, the most important step is diagnosis. So if you misdiagnose a problem, if you fail to understand the problem, you cannot find a solution to it. So in their lack of common sense, they are thinking that this is about Biflo. They've always thought this is about Pilato. They've always thought this is about Michael. That's a wrong diagnosis. So in trying to deal with this problem, and you misdiagnose it, meaning you're going to prescribe a wrong treatment for it. What is happening right now is like Michael says, this is not about Biflo, this is not about Chela, this is not about Pilato, this is not about Michael, this is not about anybody else. This is about people, young people speaking out. And what they are saying now is not new to anyone. The only problem is because the people that have the mandate to find a solution to this problem have refused to diagnose it properly. Program very
Biflo,
The biggie.
how is it, my guy?
We're pushing.
Hey, that's great. I want to salute you guys for a step you're taking, because we have been down on the rock for too long. Leaders must earn respect, not be given respect. If a child says what is affecting him or her in that house is not a sign of disrespecting but it is a sign of responsibility. It's our responsibility as youths of Zambia and Africa at large to point at the injustices that this system is putting on us. Leaders must obey to what we want, because they say the youth are the leaders of tomorrow. To me, it makes no sense in our own country, Zambia, where our government goes to China, borrows money from the Chinese, gives the same tenders, the same contract to the same Chinese people, pay them back the same money, and the Bank of China has got a bank in here. What's the point at us as this?
And that's a question that would be nice for those that are in authority to answer. 226-841. Hello, good morning. Thanks a lot for calling. Hello, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Morning, how are you?
Yeah, me, I'm good. I'm calling from this compound.
Mtembo.
Yes, without wasting much of time. I think for me, in as much as I agree with the people there, the visitors there, I think we have to show respect in the way that we address the government. Like my brother Pilato, the way he's addressing Baboma Lusambo. You can set your point without sounding demeaning. You can't say to a poleka shekwachi beings. No. You can't say to a minister at the top. No, guy, what? So the point that I'm trying to say is, yes, I believe in your cause. And you mean well. For me, I've been an ardent critic of Pilato on his Facebook page. And I like Pilato because he's very tolerant. You can call him names, but he won't broke you. However, now let me get to my point. For me, what has failed this guy is there. It's not the leadership, the PF government, but it's the political ideology. Guys, of late I've been reading a lot about socialism. I think socialism means well. These things are happening because the ideology, the system that we are using, capitalism, it is a system of the rich making themselves more richer, and us from George compound making us more poor. But if we use socialism, maybe things might change. Because yes, we will change the government next year and replace them with the government. What will that mean? It will mean that we will just replace the corrupt element. Thank you very much.
Mtembo, thank you very much. Mtembo speaks like me. I'm a semi-socialist. But is that where one of the challenges is? And I'll go back to the phone line shortly. But is that one of the challenges that most people don't know what the political ideologies are for the people that are running this country? That you have no idea whether one is a capitalist. In fact, they're not even sure whether they're a capitalist or a socialist.
So maybe let me give it a shot. First of all, to Mtembo, I said we have leaders that poleka. I didn't say target Mr. Bowman and Sambo. If I wanted to target that team, I would have done it. I didn't do it because I didn't want to do it, and I'm sorry if it sounded like I targeted that team. Probably maybe on my Facebook page I'll be able to do so. I think for our problems, it's not about ideology. Like we must bring ourselves to that space. Like these ideologies are for those that choose to think and stick to the thoughts. Our problems today are not in any way because of the ideology of capitalism and socialism and all that. Even if we had socialism here, if we had still thieves, if we had still bad leaders, it will still not deliver.
You're an ardent reader. Sorry, you're an ardent reader of Kapwekwe and a lot of those freedom fighters from back in the day. KK himself. They'll tell you that they were proud socialists.
Yeah.
And you look at what they were able to achieve, even though towards the end it went haywire. Yeah. But you look at what they were able to achieve in the early parts. That was all because of socialism. And they were able to send so many people to school for free.
And the people that benefited from that are the ones that are now doing the opposite. So my point is this, Luchi. If these people that the Kapwepwes, the Kaundas and all that, if they embrace this ideology because of their inbuilt, like this is who I am, and for me to work, this is what I subscribe to. We have the government today of the PF that the socialist type of manifesto. What has that manifesto done to them when they go against it? Does it slap them? It's just like it's abandoned. So we can have this beautiful ideology, socialist, communist, whatever nonsense we choose to call it. It will not rise and just sleep even if we don't respect it. The problem is not the ideology that we embrace. It is the quality of the people that we entrust the responsibility to deliver. You can call it anything. You can call it humanism. They call it social democracy. Like it can have all these names. It is the quality of the people that you entrust the responsibility to save that determines the quality of the goodness or the badness of an ideology that you embrace. For me, it's purely about that. You can put capitalism. Capitalism has worked elsewhere.
So it's about the people.
It's about the people that are managing it.
All right. Hello, good morning.
Thanks, sir.
Good morning, how are you? All right, thanks. What's your name?
My name is Banda Nelson.
Yeah, Banda, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I'm following the program and I'm happy to have connected to the three gentlemen in the studio. I'm a youth as well. My point is very simple. Before raised a point where I said youths are in need of leaders. It is very true. You see, as youth, we have so many burning issues. Today, you can see a Zambian being mistreated. But alone as a youth, alone as a boy, you cannot raise such an issue. So you need a voice that will stand up initially and then in the process be able to organize that energy and let your voice be heard. So when we in the chain of events that has been happening for the past 2 weeks or 1 week or so, so many youths felt relieved to say, okay, finally we found someone, finally we found a shoulder where we can stand and then voice out. And then when you get to have things like what happened yesterday, where I know Biflo doesn't have that personality, but many youths, including myself, I was let down. I was like, oh my God, my last hope is gone again. But when I heard the video that he recorded to give us the insight as to why he went there, at least there was some hope within me that, okay, I thought we are sidelined, but again, it's like my voice is still standing. So as youths this time around, we are looking for that person. We've had Mr. Michael Zulu for some time standing with us. We've had Pilato standing with us. And then we've had the likes of Biflo and all that. What we are looking for are the leaders to give us a shoulder. So you people want to say that you are still role models, even if you've not guided us personally, but through your little works that you do, either on various platforms or through music, we tend to have hope in you and we...
Okay, all right. And listen, thank you very much. People, do you wanna respond? I mean, that is in a way targeted at you. And the events of yesterday, the fact that he says that young people need a voice and they thought that you were the voice. And I know that there are many young people who are not sure anymore.
Yeah, I think that is really, really a powerful contribution when he echoes my words and says, young people are in need of leadership. And so anytime they see somebody who's bold enough, somebody who's courageous enough, somebody who's not a coward to speak out, and they see that person speaking out and what they're speaking about is very much in line with what people are going through, they begin to see that person as their voice. So people are looking for heroes right now. They're looking for the Kapwepwes right now. They're looking for those people that they'll remember and say, these are the people that moved us from this position of suffering to a position of prosperity. And what I'm grateful for is the opportunity that I've had to help contribute to creating an atmosphere where young people begin to voice out because they feel, oh, okay, we are not alone, we're together. So what I think, what I want to say is this is not time to give up. This is actually time to continue what we have started. If you feel Biflo is compromised, at least you can still be grateful for the fact that he has helped create this atmosphere. Now move with it yourself. Move with it yourself and find a leader in yourself and say, I want to take on the mantle. I want to be the one to lead something, the same way that other people felt I'm supposed to be one of the leaders, you too can also take it up and say, I want to be part of the leadership of
That
this
was never your intention, though.
Exactly.
It was never your intention. Your intention was
intention.
never to be a quote-unquote leader.
I was basically being a Zambian citizen, voicing out on the things that I was unhappy about. And this, I think, started a long time ago, but maybe people just never really paid attention until there was a hot issue, which was the mayor's apology. Because I did not like the turn of events during that time, I went ahead and voiced out, and a lot of people agreed with me. That's when I realized that people wanted to speak, but maybe they didn't know how to do it. And that's why I started seeing a hashtag like, I stand with Biflo, I stand with Biflo. For me, I felt when they say I stand with Biflo, they are basically saying what his pain is our pain. His pain is our pain, and that's it. I didn't take it like, oh, they have actually now crowned me to say you are the one that is going to lead this, because there are so many important voices. There are so many people. The people that I don't know whether they were given a permit. I think they notified the police that they want to have a demonstration. Those are people that are not even famous, but the whole idea of them championing the fact that people need to have a demonstration and speak to power has raised so much attention in the nation, and it doesn't even have to take a famous person.
But do you not accept, and I'm going to ask all three of you this question, especially that I hear, and I'm just going to read a quote. This is in the past couple of minutes. Again, this is just a voice of a young person. If youths want to address issues of national interest that need to be cleared, they should involve government through respective dialogue and not through what he calls, I'm going to put in inverted commas because really that's what it is, illegal protests. Now, doesn't a call to have a protest, a demonstration, a riot, doesn't that hold more water if it comes from a voice like Michael, if it comes from a voice like Beef, if it comes from a voice like Pilato? Doesn't it hold more?
I think it does.
Yeah,
I think it does. But my point really was that it didn't have to take Michael or Pilato to begin the whole motion of getting into a protest mood. It just took ordinary citizens, and that's also a reflection of what is really happening. What we can do is we can support such a movement and say, oh, people, this is what our fans, this is what fellow citizens want to do right now. Do we agree with it? If we do agree with it, then we support it and help to popularize it so that more people can be involved and more voices can be heard.
Michael, welcome to you. Let me just pick this up from Ivan. Ivan, morning.
Morning, Richie. How are you?
All right, thanks.
Good. Morning, Michael, Biflo, and Pilato.
Good morning.
Good. All right, let me just address first of all Biflo. When I listen to you, I get a sense that you are something of a reluctant hero. You basically want to step out of the limelight that you, in a sense, have stepped into. Unfortunately, what you have is a situation where the youth of this country have seen you in a particular light. I mean, Michael and Plato have had their time, and I'm sure they have their continuing time. But you have resonated with the youth in a way that has not happened in quite some time.
Okay.
Now, the challenge that you have is that these young people want you to lead the charge, to light the way through the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
They're crying out for you to do that, but you're saying, no, me, I'm not really that guy, this is your time, son. This is your time. I'm serious.
Thank you.
Two things. Either he led the charge against injustices, or he's the man that says, no, not me, I'll see you guys later, I've got to make some music. You have to understand, son, this is your time. You started because for you to be called to State House is huge. How many have been called to State House to deliver a letter? How many have tried to get an appointment at State House? How many have tried and failed? But you, within 2 weeks, have been able to get to State House and deliver.
It was actually within 24 hours.
Within 24 hours, yes. You see? So that is a huge element. So that means the powers that be have recognized the incredible power. I tell you right now, if you went to a police station or wherever and asked for a permit for a demonstration, they would give it to you. Because they know that if they don't give it to you, it will be a huge issue.
Okay.
Sometimes from other areas may not give it because you have now been, I hope I make myself clear. I hope I understand.
Very clear.
Given a unique privilege. You talk well, you look well, everything about you resonates.
Wow.
Because all the other leaders, no one will get to them. They're all too big and too powerful. They don't pick up phone calls, they don't respond to emails, they don't respond to Facebook pages.
Yeah.
But you right now represent the youth in an incredible way.
Wow.
So my advice to you is take the mantle.
Okay.
Go forward and run with it as far as you can. Run as far as you can.
Yeah.
I guarantee history will remember B-Flow.
Wow.
We'll put you along the big heroes of the day because this is your time.
Wow.
B-Flow, congratulations, well done. Go for it, son.
Ivan,
thank you so much.
Let me take a couple of calls. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
What's your name? Yes, Sam, go ahead.
First of all, I want to commend the artists who are on air today, Pilato, Biflo, and Michael Zulu. First and foremost, I want to address Biflo. Biflo, you are an artist. When you just click on the likes on your page, I mean, it is a page that has got quite a huge number of people, should I say, a following. You have influenced those likes because of your works as a musician. Your music has impacted so many people to the point whereby they are following you. So you are not an ordinary citizen. You are not an ordinary person. What you say and what you do in public has got so much of an eye-catching, and like an ordinary youth who wants to go on the street and talk against what the evils of this government may be. So when an artist like you go on a forum on social media, you talk about the ills of this government. You can imagine today I was reading News Digger's newspaper where Minister of Health have given a contract of $17 million on a drug supply contract to a company that is a Zambian, an alleged Zambian company that is not even registered with PACRA. Wow. You see, and then an artist talks about those ills. These are ills of corruption, illegalities that the youth are crying about. You understand? That is taxpayers' money. $17 million going to a company.
All right. Can you get to the question? Sorry, so I can take more calls. Can you get to the question?
Okay, it's not really a question. My comment is a commendation, and I want to urge those three artists who are there to please. This war is bigger, and please fight behind you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Hello. Good morning. Hello. Morning.
Yes. This is John.
Yeah, John. Go ahead, John.
Sir.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah. First of all, I just
all right, John, listen, your line is really bad, John. What you do is maybe get to a place where it's a little more quiet and try and call back. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Morning.
Sorry, let me just switch off.
Okay.
Good morning, Roche.
Morning, how are you?
I'm fine. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, thank you.
And Biflo.
Good morning.
And my little cousin, Chanda.
Chama.
Wewe kusipata maweza Chanda and then Chama.
Chama. You guys, I commend you for what you've been doing in the last years, and especially what happened in the last 2 weeks by Biflo.
Thank you.
Biflo, the way things are, you are narrating yourself as not being a leader.
Okay.
You are trying to just provoke the situation.
Okay.
That's not it, my young man.
Okay.
Take it from others. When a movement for multi-parties is started, it did not start with the people you are seeing today. It started, I think, with the Akashambara. Akashambara started writing articles, and many people did not follow it. And the thing started now from Akashambara. It went to University of Zambia, went to Papadot University, and many other people followed. All the people who were there to advocate for revolution have never even enjoyed what was there when MMD came into power. Most of them were shelved off. So what I would like to appeal to you, leadership is not by accident. The way you've started, and people think that you are a leader. Mikey has been there for this country for quite some time. He's been even locked up for 3 cases. And for Chama, has also been there. You have also come on board. Please consolidate your efforts as young men. That's what I can say. Consolidate your efforts, especially all the youth in this country. Because me, I'm much older, I'm no longer a youth. All the youth can change this country to a better.
Thank you so
very much. Thanks a lot.
What was his name?
He didn't put his name. But do you wanna comment? You can go through the all three of them. I like how the old men are looking at the young man.
Veteran youths. Well, I think that the last three calls have all given me a very good challenge, and it's not like I'm running away from leadership. First of all, I do recognize the leadership qualities that I have. If I'm to give you a background of where I'm coming from, you realize that I realized that I'm a leader as early as the time I was in 4th grade, when I was in the Boy Scout. By the time I was in 7th grade, I was in the Child Rights Club. By the time I was in my 10th grade, I was the president for the Anti-AIDS and the Anti-Drug Club in school. I served on so many levels. I ended, by the time I was completing my high school, I was a head boy, and I'm a trained peer educator, and I've done a lot of civic engagement trainings. I think Michael is a witness, even through ZAM, the time he headed ZAM. So I do recognize the leadership qualities that I have, which is also part of the reason I did YALI, Young African Leaders Initiative, the Mandela Washington Fellowship. It's also the reason I took the direction I took with my music, because if you remember, when I started merely as an entertainer, and then later on I realized the responsibility that I have and the role that I have to play in society, and I said I can no longer make music just to make someone feel happy that they listen to a nice song with a nice beat, but I have to make sure that if I'm going to give you a song, you will learn something, and at the end of the day, it also has something to do with my own legacy. I don't want to be remembered as a person that deceived people through his music, but somebody that helped to propagate positive change, and that's why I did that. So the leadership in me, I do recognize it. If I sound a bit like I'm beginning to step back, sometimes maybe it could be because of the reaction that is coming from the very people that were regarding me, that are regarding me as this is supposed to be our leader of this great movement, but maybe they are beginning to discourage me. So it's also that's why we always talk about having a support system.
Is that why you ended up doing some of the things that you did in the past 4 or 5 hours? You know, deleting
the press statement.
Is that why that?
No. Deleting the press statement was not because I'm stepping back. It was because I later realized, even through the comments, I realized that I used a platform that is inconsistent with the platform that I've been using previously, because I've been posting videos where I'm speaking, then this time around suddenly, after having gone through this phase, I post a press statement. So I had to man up and said, okay, you know what, let me delete it, because it will be misunderstood, and it was already misunderstood. So I said there was need for me to go back to the usual platform that I'm using, which is posting a video where I'm speaking, and I'll speak to the people and explain to them exactly what happened. And that's the reason why I deleted it. I did apologize for deleting it, and I take full responsibility for that, but I also say it is valid, and it was already shared with media houses, and was already published.
Okay. There are many questions, and this is both for Pilato and Michael. There are many questions this morning around Bill 10. And what your thoughts are around Bill 10. There's a big day, because obviously today Parliament resumes. Where do the two of you, where do the three of you, in fact, where do you all stand on Bill 10 and the responsibility of those that are in leadership to either enact or do what some people say the right thing is, which is to not?
I think it's very clear that Pilato and I have been championing the yellow card campaign. We've gone across the country, you know, and one of the things that we were championing was the shooting down of Bill 10. You know, in my personal opinion, first of all, as a citizen, I think it's an evil bill. Bill 10 does not I've always said Bill 10 sort of defines the support or the opposition of Bill 10 defines what patriotism is for an ordinary Zambian. And if you see a lot of people that are championing Bill 10 tend to be on the side of the people I mentioned, that bracket I mentioned that has an appetite for power.
But that's the case with a lot of issues in this country.
That's the case with a lot of issues.
There'll always be,
so
extremely polarized. There will always be red versus green or green versus
and
red.
I think public debate has shown us. I think there's been exhaustive public debate on Bill 10. It has shown us that the majority of Zambians do not want Bill 10. So I stand with the people that do not want Bill 10 to be passed, and I'm calling on my honorable member of parliament, Given Luinda,
yesterday he issued a statement.
Who is Minister of Justice.
He issued a statement yesterday where he spoke about if there are convincing reasons that the people give, then the bill will be withdrawn.
I think
the reasons are convincing enough.
Reasons.
Yes, I mean people have rejected it. People have said no to Bill 10, and if that's not convincing enough, what other reasons? They have made sure that each and every point in Bill 10 they have given a reason as to why it shouldn't be like that. We have said, oh, this one is giving too much power to the executive, and it shouldn't be like that. Power should be to the people. Yeah. So when people say that, what's wrong with people having the power to themselves?
It's I think people seem to have been hijacked by the resolutions after Bill 10, the recommendations, the popular recommendations. You know, to a point where they have forgotten the real devil. Yes, you know.
For me,
the real devil is the bill.
Yeah. For me, it's
not the recommendations.
So logic guides me that if a premise is wrong, you cannot expect a correct conclusion. The question I ask myself is, at what point did we ask for a new constitution after the 2016 constitution? At what point? Because if I remember correctly, what prompted the NDF was the aftermath of the 2016 elections and that Mongo rubbish that happened where people started arresting each other. So even the church and that dialogue, something what's the political interparty, something
the one in Siabonga.
No, so there's an organization, I think they should
ZCID.
Yes.
Okay.
So their intervention was to create a platform where political parties should not be seen as enemies to each other. So to reconcile, coming from the 2016 election.
Yes.
To afterwards. So why should Mr. Lungu and Mr. HH view each other as enemies? Why should the supporters of the PF and the supporters? The NDF was in a product of that discussion. So then we addressed this problem where we have these political tension even after elections.
Commonwealth coming in.
Yes. So how do we resolve this? That led to the NDF. How that changed and the complexion changed to changing the constitution is a different story. At what point did we feel the people and say we have so much power, want to give some power to the president, and where did we say that? What is the answer that we are trying to respond to by changing the constitution? What is it that we're trying to achieve when we change the constitution? Where are we failing? Are we saying we don't have drugs in the hospitals because the constitution is like this? Are we failing that? Are we saying that because the poverty levels are this high because the constitution is like that? Is that what we're saying? For me, I can never accept a Bible or an instruction from the devil. If I call myself a Christian, I cannot accept a book or any list of instructions from somebody I stand to challenge. We, the Zambian people, have not complained about the 2016 election, the constitution. As a matter of fact, even when before the president was signing that constitution, a lot of scholars, a lot of lawyers, a lot of these intelligent people that we have in the country challenged that signing, that rushed signing. They said, you can't sign this. This thing is faulty. This thing it's got a lot of gaps. This thing has to be refined. They loudly expressed themselves because it was for a political convenience. The president signed it. His party rushed that he signed. Why is it that we should now get back to address issues that were not even raised then? Why is it? What is it for the benefit for the people that we must change or alter or edit or whatever, refine the constitution now, when we were quick to sign it then, even when these calls were made?
In other words, your point is that it doesn't address the key issues that the people have.
It doesn't in any way. It doesn't in any way.
And it actually doesn't solve some of the challenges that people
experience. It's not there anyway. It's not in the picture. So now the thing is, this is what I would like Zambians to think and obviously hold so dear. In 2016, they used the constitution as a campaign too. And when the president signed it, it was a victory. Over the time, they've realized that actually, for them to extend their staying power, they will need to go back to the constitution and use it as a tool to get to the next level of power. We, the Zambian people, must ask ourselves, are we going to have a situation where every constitution has to be changed by whoever is in power? Like, how many times are we going to change this constitution? If we allow this editing of the constitution by politicians to happen, what would stop somebody coming next year to say, to organize, mobilize his political friends and connections, say, let's change 1, 2, 3, 4 so that we do this thing? Like, how weak can we become as a people to allow a group of individuals who love power so much that they can change the pieces of law and fashion it in a way that perpetuates their staying power?
Do you think that, and again, I want to stick with this line of thinking, but I want to take it a bit further, that one of the challenges, and Michael put it well when he said that we are so polarized as a society that we all can't agree with one another without it looking like you are green or you are red. Yeah. That if you take a particular stance, then it means that you've been paid off by someone. Yeah. Because you can't, as Pilato, you can't fathom this opinion on your own. It can't come from you, it has to be coming from someone else. Yeah. Michael, you can't say I'm against Bill 10, it has to be coming from someone else. B-Flow, you can't have this line of thinking. You can't say that there are more foreigners in here and they're taking advantage without it coming from someone behind. Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that we need to address that even before we say, you know what, Bill 10 is a bad bill? But let's first address one of the core and fundamental issues. Otherwise, we'll never move forward as a country. Right. Because there will always be A versus B, and you have an opinion about this because you've been paid by someone. Yeah.
It all comes back to how we come into leadership. Is it Pilato? It's Pilato who said, where leadership has now become an economic venture. So what we need to go back to, Luchi, is the kind of leadership, the service kind of leadership, the Nyerere, Kaunda, Kapwepwe kind of leadership, where you want to serve, That is why in certain developed countries, you cannot be president if you are poor like me, you see, because, you have made your money and most of the times your purpose, won't be to steal or misappropriate. Misappropriation actually is a formal word for theft. Whatever they call it, whether it's late banking, all these terms you find in the Auditor General's report, all these are trying to sugarcoat theft. At the end of the day, it comes down to what sort of leadership do you want to drive your country forward? Is it service kind of leadership, or is it economics kind of leadership? And what we have now is purely economics. It's purely commercial.
But isn't that, you know what, here's the thing. I feel like sometimes those who are in leadership are able to defend their actions because they can say, you've been paid by someone.
Yeah,
Well,
It's an easy way. It's an easy way.
I think look at my situation.
Yes.
Look at
People
my
have been
situation.
paid by someone. Look, he's wearing a red cap.
So, prior to and after the situation that has been happening lately, just when I was just speaking, oh, he's been paid by the opposition. The moment I made a visit to State House, oh, he has been bought by PF. So that's the narrative, and that's what we need to break, because at the end of the day we're talking about Zambia, and it's about just one Zambia, one nation, and that's it. I wish it was that easy, but it's not easy right now, and that's what we need to break.
So for me, I've always held a philosophy.
I mean, you've been paid.
So, but
we know you've been paid.
Yeah, but so if I was paid by the opposition to say what I was saying, and now I've been paid by the ruling party, then let the opposition hold me accountable. Let them say, hey, why have you switched camps when we had paid you? And if I have been paid by the current, then it means that should challenge the rest of the citizenry to think that then the corruption we're talking about is real.
So, Lucy, for me, I've held a philosophy that the most dangerous master is a former slave. A former slave is a very dangerous master, because if I know how it feels to be locked up in a room, when I want to punish you, I'll send you in a room where I was sent. I've shared that thought to highlight they've paid you arrangement. So those that have been paid to act, those that have been paid before to say certain things, they know that the other person can only speak, can only act when they have been paid. So they assume everybody is just as stupid as they are. And for them to rescue them from that stupidity, somebody has to push in money. That's the assumption that works for so many people. Yeah. For me, I stopped caring about that, because obviously people will say a lot of things, and obviously that's their freedom to say whatever they want to say. And because these are people that they know that they've moved from this point to this point, by bribing people. So they think everyone else is walking like them.
I'm taking
the
notes.
most dangerous master is the former slave.
All right. 26841. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right, thanks.
Yes, yes.
What's your name?
William speaking.
All right, William, go ahead.
Yes, yes. Morning, Pilato.
Morning, William. How are you, boss?
Morning, Michael.
Good morning, William.
Okay, April, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks. Yeah, it's so interesting.
You people have touched the issue of Bill 10 before I actually come to advise the floor. Bill 10, what is behind Bill 10 is actually something which is decapitating to the Zambian people. You know what I mean? Bill 10 is being advocated by people who are comfortable. Politicians who are not thinking about this country. The youth are very, very much angry with the current situation in Zambia. Things are not okay. Now, coming back to Biflo, my brother, I'm from Kawe. I will tell you one mistake that you have made. And the people from Kawe who are in various WhatsApp groups as well as FB groups, you know, they are complaining and disappointed with the act of you going alone to the State House. Yes, you were invited, quite alright, you went there. But you weren't supposed to go alone to the State House.
Right.
You were supposed to be accompanied, at least to show transparency and to show that whatever you spoke, the time you were speaking for the Zambian youth, and for yourself definitely, okay, being a Zambian and affected Zambian, you were supposed to at least be accompanied by other people. You know what I mean? Because whatever you discussed at the State House there, we don't know. Only God and you knows.
Okay.
So that trust, believe you me, in a lot of people, that trust in whatever you talked about and in your leadership has gone down.
Okay.
You built a CV and you mentioned something like, you realized your leadership at some point and you went into it in various organizations. That is recommendable. But, where you have actually fumbled a bit is to go to the State House.
Okay.
No.
So he shouldn't have gone alone. In other words, people, he shouldn't have gone alone, according to a lot of WhatsApp groups in Kabwe.
I say big shout out to Kabwe town, the town that made me who I am, where I was born. The letter that I took, I believe I meant well, and the letter that I took to State House represents the same things that I have been addressing on social media and the same things that we are all talking about. So I want to believe that when that feedback comes, which I believe is today, because that's what I was informed, when that feedback comes and we are able to go and sit down with the head of state, I want to believe that I am not being selfish, because like I have said, that the agenda of the meeting is exactly the things that we're talking about: youth development, Zambian workers, and then we'll address all the other things. Obviously they are related to these particular issues that I put on the agenda. So I hope that if that feedback will be positive, I hope that we'll be able to vindicate me.
Let me ask an unfair question. Pilato, if State House called you, would you go?
So if you've paid attention to Mr. Most when he was
actually, I didn't pay that much attention.
So when I was in South Africa, I had indicated that they had expressed their interest that I have refused about 2 times, and the reason I refused is very personal, in that I do not complain that I don't have many meal at my house. I do not say I don't have friends at my house. When I talk about an issue that is in public domain, I'm not saying that I have the solution. I'm not in any way saying that I listen to me and provide the solution. When I say there is youth unemployment, I'm not attracting attention to me. I'm not the solution to the youth unemployment. If the president or anyone else feels they are in the position to find solutions to their unemployment, they can do it without talking to me. They can do it without talking to me. Nobody should think and believe that the fact that I can tell a good meal doesn't mean that I can prepare it. When I say the Wungana Abdullah, don't ask me, don't sit me down and say, how are you going to reduce the price of income? You know it's expensive. You know so many of our people can't afford it.
Yeah.
Don't ask me for solutions, how we can. I may not even know the solutions, but I know the problem. I know Wungana Abdullah. So, my ability to should not be misunderstood for my ability to prepare it.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. Hello, good morning. Good. All right, thanks. What's your name?
My name is Mo from
Kabwe. Are you also in these WhatsApp groups? All right.
Yes, I'm here to, first of all, I'm going to start with B-Flow. You know, to be honest, I really had so much respect for him, and the first time he came out, I really felt like, okay, finally we have people out there to talk for us. The moment he went to State House, I totally lost trust in him. Because the first thing, State House is not like a place you're going to enter like a toilet. No. It's a place where you reach first, you have to scrutinize the letter that you have. Of what interest are you to them? So you shouldn't start seeing as being with no shanshan, because already I've been following the program from the time it started. He's chickening out. That's why many are calling and telling him, no, you should realize your leadership qualities and stand up. He shouldn't chicken out.
I hear you.
Because of the
I hear you.
Yeah.
I will not chicken out. I hear you.
Thank you. Please don't.
Okay.
Please don't. Don't be another Tutwangulube.
Right. No.
Yeah, then the other thing is the Buchanan. I think it's what Pilato said is quite very true. I don't remember a point that a Zambian citizen has ever had power over government, not even over police, not even over a cadre. We never had those powers. So I don't understand where we have to give all the powers to the president through the so-called Buchanan. No. I really recommend Pilato on that, and I've always been a big fan of him, and I follow him everything that he says, and from the word go when he started complaining about all this, and it's like he saw whatever that is happening. Right, all three of you guys, please stand up. Don't be intimidated. You have the right to speak yourselves. Some of us express ourselves through you.
But Mo, you also have that right.
Yes.
And that right is constitutionally enshrined. You have the right as well to speak up. Don't be afraid of anyone. Yeah, don't be afraid of anyone.
Yeah.
Do you wanna respond? I'm sorry, I didn't think, no, the thing is, I take freedom. I am such a huge proponent of people's right to express themselves.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes people believe that in a platform like this that I shouldn't be able to speak out.
Yeah.
But I have such a strong feeling
Fantastic.
about the fact that people need to be able to speak, and that right is enshrined in the Constitution. Do you want to respond?
Yeah, maybe just to echo what a few callers have said about Bifo. If he wasn't here, I wasn't going to be telling him this, but I think the disappointment by young people, like you had rightly put it, there's a vacuum. You know, I'm not a young person, so I'm just youthful. So the young people have a vacuum, okay, because everybody wants to voice out, you know, but there doesn't seem to be direction amongst the Zambian youth. And when they see anything that tends to be some sort of direction, you know, they'll rally behind you. But again, when they see you dining or seeming to be dining with the people that are oppressing those very people that you're speaking about, then that is why you hear people like Mo saying, I was disappointed and things like that. But I think to the young people out there, Biflo may have had his way of approaching this issue, so bear with him. I think from the way I know him, I think I can vouch for him that he may have had good intentions. Whatever happened there is none of my business. It's between him and his integrity. Okay? It's between him and his integrity. And there is always three sides to the truth. Your side, his side, and the truth. So in the end, you know, the truth will prevail. So I don't think it may be really fair at this moment to crucify Biflo. On the other hand, state machinery sometimes works on you in a manner that you would not even suspect. You know, so if the state used their machinery, you know, to use Biflo, which is a possibility, then it's unfortunate for the young man, because I think he's a young man who has good intentions for young people.
Yes, and also obviously I would like to obviously add a thought, and it's expected, like where Zambians expected that all of us would go to a point and shoot down Biflo. My thinking, and obviously I would address it to Biflo, and I was going to do it later today. So, Yama, the pressure here is not even about you. The pressure is the government to ask themselves, that have we become such a scandal that anyone who associates with us is condemned by the public? Because, you know, like they should ask themselves, like, have we become this bad that a person that is celebrated, a person that is loved by the people, can attract so much disappointment. People can say, can change so quickly just by us associating ourselves with this individual. If they are reasonable human beings, they will not seek to appease you or pacify you. They will get to a drawing board and ask themselves, what is it that we're doing wrong? But if they refuse to do that, and if they feel and think that this is about you, I think they'll be so shocked that they'll cry louder than Rupiah Bandit did. They must, if they are normal human beings, I'm hoping that they'll sit down and say, guys, I think we've become a scandal that not even any of these Zambians who like to associate themselves.
There's something that you just said, and I was going to ask it as the last question, because a lot of people have been asking this. Namushi asked it, someone else on the WhatsApp line asked it, and a whole bunch of other people. That when citizens begin to distrust State House, is that a big concern? Should we be concerned? And you've actually addressed that in a way. You've addressed it.
And this is what we've been trying to look about. So the issue is, if going to State House is the potential and the possibility of denting my reputation as a citizen, then you realize that nothing is standing, nothing is surviving. And why that is worrying for all of us is that, one, we've heard reports about the judiciary. We've heard reports about, now it gets to State House. We don't even care to know what he is saying, or just the pictures of him standing with these individuals can cause so much misunderstanding and people getting so distrustful of Biflo. Then you wonder, how did we get to this point? How did we lose ourselves to this point? Who is it that the president is talking to now who is trusted? And then you have these people like when Atut was saying, oh, the youth that will go road to break their bonds and chan. Then you ask yourself, but who is it like, where are these people sitting to think? Like, are they really in Zambia? Are they really here? So when I see Atut, I see the Inspector General, I listen to the President, I'm asking myself, maybe they started basamba like it's unbelievable. Like, you're thinking, how? Eh?
All right, I'm almost out of time, but maybe I can just go through the room. I'll start with you Biflo. What commitments would you make to members of the public?
All right, I want to reassure all the people that look up to me that we are in this together and we are stronger together. I always love to say, alone I can go fast, but together we can go far. And it would take quite some time, but I know that eventually people will realize how much I mean well.
Well, for me, I just want to use this opportunity again to highlight the real issues that are happening in the country. Our country is a sorry sight. Zambia is not the Zambia in the sun that I knew. I mean, I've fought Chiluba's kleptocracy, but I think what we have now is probably, the reloaded, because I think it seems only a certain section of our society has the formula to become wealthy, and these are in the leadership bracket, which is a pity. And I think when we hear people say we are getting everybody, we are not leaving everybody behind, then you wonder which bus you are on. I think you're heading elsewhere when the rest of the country may be headed elsewhere. I think we don't need to sell out to foreigners. We have the capacity. We may have our own problems as a country, but I think within the country there are people who can offer solutions. It's just that people need to come down, remove their ego, come down from your pedestal and, listen to what the people are saying. As it is now, there is a lot of arrogance amongst our leaders, and that is why you see these boys were threatened, it's on record. You know, those are threats. You don't use such words on your people as leaders, you know. Then obviously we had the sentiments by the head of state, which I must say sounded authoritarian, you know. We need to respect you, our leaders. But in order for us to respect you and that respect, do the right thing. Reconcile the figures, like I said, because it's the figures that are wrong, not the friendships. It's the money that is missing, you know. It's the money that you guys are misappropriating or stealing.
Your commitments to the people of this republic.
So my commitments, and obviously my closing remarks are that, first of all, I would like to remind our leaders that we are children of Kaunda, we are children of Kapwepwe. If our forefathers fought the colonialism when the colonizers had sophisticated weapons, sophisticated systems and machinery, and they had thoughts, they had ideas, they shouldn't underrate or underestimate our ability to stand and confront them now when they have the same machinery, with the same equipment. We're not scared of death. We're not scared of going to prison. We're scared to be alive in a dead country. They can come however they want, but they will not silence us. We are children of men that stood against a very powerful force and they overcame. And we are their children, and Kaunda said it, their blood flows in our blood. If they are committed to finding a solution to our problems now, they shouldn't make a mistake to think this is about Pilato, this is about Biflo, this is about Michael. This is about a country that we all call our home. This is our commitment is to the country. Our commitment is to creating a society where all of us will be treated as human beings, where our humanity is not our tribes, our humanity is not which political party we support, our humanity is not anything that's superficial like which party or how much do you have. Our humanity is the fact that we were born humans and we belong to this country and this is our home, and our protection, our commitment, our sacrifices are for this country to perform, where to function, where our dreams and the dreams of our children will come true here. We don't have to go line up at any embassy to go to another country for our dreams to come true. This is our land and our dreams should be supported and come true in this land.
Pilato, Michael, Biflo, thank you very much for the program today. That's today's edition of Let the People Talk. Thank you very much indeed for listening. Thank you very much.